Hi everyone, my name is Firdaus and welcome to my horror podcast. So, for this podcast, I'll be telling you guys a story of my friend, and without further ado, let's get started to the story. A boy named Shaddad, a university student, stayed late at the campus library to finish his final project. By the time he left, it was past midnight, and the air felt colder than usual. As he made his way back to his dorm room, he couldn't shake the eerie feeling that someone or something was watching him. Maybe it's just his feeling because he is walking alone in the middle of the night, he thought. Once back in his room, Shada tried to dismiss the feeling as paranoia, but as he lay on bed, he saw shadows in front of his dorm room as if someone was standing there. He ignored it, assuming maybe it's his friend who lives beside his room. When he tried to close his eyes, he heard someone knocking on his door slowly. Knock, knock, knock. He ignored it. Yet another knocks. He just ignored it, thinking it's probably just a prank, and closed his eyes. But then suddenly, rapid knocking was heard from his door as if it's emergency. Feeling annoyed and tired, he walked toward his door and opened it. Keep in mind, the knocking is still there when he reaches for the doorknob. Surprisingly, no one's there when he opened the door. Silence. Pure silence. Cold wind touches his skin as if it's solid, and he got goosebumps all around his body. Feeling uneasy, he quickly closed the door and hid under the blanket. Not sure what time it is, he feels thirsty and reaches for his water bottle on his desk. When suddenly he realized that his door was wide open. He then walked through the door curiously and found himself not in the familiar hallway of his dormitory, but in a completely different place. The air was damp and heavy, and the dim glow of an unseen light source illuminated a long, narrow corridor that stretched endlessly in both directions. Shaddad froze, his mind racing to make sense of what was happening. He turned to look back at his room, but the door suddenly vanished, replaced by the same cold, featureless walls of the corridor. The unsettling sound of faint whispers began to fill the air, growing louder with each passing moment. Driven by an uneasy curiosity, Shaddad decided to walk forward. The whispers seemed to guide him, though he couldn't understand what they were saying. After walking for what felt like an eternity, he came across an old wooden door slightly ajar. The whispers stopped abruptly as he reached for the handle. Pushing the door open, he stepped inside to find a dimly lit room filled with mirrors. Each mirror reflected not his current appearance but fragmented moments of his past. Him laughing with his friends, studying in the library, and even scenes he couldn't remember experiencing. But one reflection stood out, a version of himself staring back with hollow eyes and a sinister grin. "You've taken my place long enough," the doppelganger said in a voice that echoed like a dozen whispers layered on top of each other. Now it's time to stay here." Panicked, he stepped back, only to hear footsteps echoing behind him. Whipping around, he saw a figure in the shadows, a version of himself, identical in every way but with those same hollow eyes and the chilling grin. And before Shaddad could react, the figure lunged at him and everything went black. Shaddad woke up, gasping for air, back in his dorm room. His door was closed, the desk light on, and everything seemed normal. He sighed in relief, dismissing it as a vivid nightmare. But as he reached for his phone to check the time, his reflection on the screen smiled at him. Not a friendly smile, but the same chilling grin he had seen in the mirrors. And then his phone screen went dark. And from outside his door, the slow knock began again. That's all for this podcast. What do you think actually happened to Shadat? And what does the doppelganger figure want from him? Thank you guys and